Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching our Harmony of the Seas cruise vlog series. I wanted to come and kind of wrap up our whole trip, tell you the pros and cons of our trip, and also do a merch haul. I might have a problem. I did not even realize that we bought as much stuff as we did, but I'm going to show it to you because we've got some really cute things. So stick around and let's go through the list together. So first off, if you are considering taking a Western Caribbean cruise, usually if you go out of Galveston or sometimes if you go out of Tampa and kind of the southern Florida areas, they will have this cruise itinerary. Usually the top 3 places that these cruises go to are Roatan, Costa Maya, and Cozumel. So we had things that we were excited about each different place, and obviously, as you saw in the videos, we had a really fun time, but there were definitely some things that we would do again and things that we wouldn't do again, and things that we loved about the ship and things that we didn't love about the ship. So let's get to it. So I made a list here of all of my pros and cons, and we'll kind of talk about each one. So pros. First off, the Oasis class ships, you just absolutely cannot go wrong with those ships. So anyone that you choose, you know you're going to have an amazing time because they have the slides, they have the shows, and they pretty much have the same similar layout. So it's pretty easy to find things. Obviously, a lot of them have been going into dry dock and they've been getting some refurbishments. So obviously the older ones will show a little bit of age, but Royal Caribbean's been doing a really great job at adding some of those modern touches, updating the colors and things to keep them exciting and want you to come back. So Harmony of the Seas is the 3rd ship in the Oasis class fleet. So there is Oasis, then there's Allure, and then Harmony. Then you have Symphony, Wonder, and Utopia after that. So we've done Allure and we've done the Harmony of the Seas. So it was really nice to see some of the modern touches, you know, the little bit of a nicer upgrade, better carpet and things than there was on the Allure. Granted, the Allure also has gone into dry dock recently, so now we gotta go back on her because she didn't have the water slide before and now she does. So you can't go wrong with any of them. Obviously, the staff is great. We had no complaints whatsoever about our room attendant. Very attentive, very kind. No issues there. All the wait staff, everybody was amazing. We did have, in the main dining room, we had a table that we were at 2 nights in a row. I believe it was table 160. I think I showed it in the video, but the server who was over that table was absolutely excellent. We did get a 3-night dining package. Because my husband's a little bougie and he likes to have some of the nicer restaurants, and my mother-in-law came with us on this particular trip, and so we wanted to show her a good time too. And we ended up going to Jamie's Italian, we went to Izumi and did the hibachi, and we also went to Chop's Grill. All 3 were absolutely excellent and no complaints there whatsoever. Highly recommend. In the future, we might even do the ultimate unlimited dining package where you can go to as many of the specialty dining places as you want, as opposed to doing the main dining or the buffet, because we like to go to Johnny Rockets and things like that too. So if you really like that experience over and over, it's definitely worthwhile to do that. A pro would be, obviously, I love the play Grease. It was a little bit different than the full production of Grease, just for time's sake. When we went on Allure, we saw Mamma Mia, and that was like a 3-hour show, whereas when we were on Harmony, they did Grease, and it was only about an hour and a half. So they took a couple scenes and they kind of blended them together. I'd never seen the production like that before, but obviously I love the story of Grease, and everybody did excellent. The actors and everybody were amazing. Singing was great. No complaints there. Did go to one game show. We went to the name the lyrics or guess the lyrics, and that was a lot of fun. Obviously they have, you know, participants who do that, and it was, you know, about an hour-long show, but that was the first game show that I had been to, and that was certainly a lot of fun too. Con, I would say, like, we tried to do trivia, and every time that we tried to go to trivia, it was totally packed and there was no place to sit. So if you want to do trivia and things like that, make sure you show up at least a half hour early, maybe even an hour potentially, because you might not get a seat and you might not get to participate. Another pro was the ice show. So it's a pro and a con because the storylines are always so strange to me. They're not straightforward. This one was called 1884. Like I said, it had kind of a Romeo and Juliet vibe, but it also kind of had some space components to it, you know, and the skating is always amazing. They're super talented ice skaters, but the storylines just always fall a little flat to me. I don't know, they're just strange, but it's definitely worth going to see. If you like ice skating, it's definitely something to check out. And then the other thing in terms of entertainment was the the daytime aqua show. So we didn't love the nighttime aqua show, and I'll go into that a little bit more, but they had kind of a surprise daytime aqua show that had more of a Hawaiian fun vibe. And I watched part of it, and then they had technical problems, and then we kind of caught another part of it later, as you saw in the video from the last day. But it seemed like a ton of fun, and I kind of wish that they would have done that as like the evening show, and I wish we would have seen the whole thing. So I would definitely love to go on there again and see that aqua show again, because it seemed like a lot of fun. So now on to the cons. So some of these things might just be specific to what our particular sailing was, and it's not necessarily a reflection on Royal Caribbean as a whole, because we absolutely love Royal Caribbean and plan to cruise on them plenty of times in the future. So cons. So the aqua show. Some people absolutely love the fine line. We really didn't love it. And not because they're not completely amazing athletic individuals who can dance and do flips and are just super athletic, but just the storyline of it. Like, it had a very dark vibe to it. I don't really feel like kids would have really enjoyed watching it. Kind of the main character guy he came out in the beginning of the show. He literally twirled around, I kid you not, for 10 minutes straight wearing this really big skirt, which was like, how the heck do you not just fall over being dizzy? But it was kind of like, okay, how long is this going to go on? You know, and it's kind of just to keep your attention right there at the beginning. But he kind of kept resurfacing throughout the show. And, you know, kind of further on in the show, he had like these really big whips, and he was whipping the water, and it's kind of scaring the kids. And so it was like, it took away from how amazing the show actually was by some of these just like very dark, like ritualistic components to it that just didn't really sit right with us. So go see it, you know, make a decision for yourself. I've heard people absolutely love it, but for us, it would just happen to be a miss. My husband and mother-in-law signed up to do a guacamole class. As you saw, I think that was on the last day as well. And they didn't make guacamole. I don't know what took place during that particular session, if there was some kind of a health or safety concern in which they couldn't allow them to make the guacamole, but I guess they gave them a recipe, they showed them how to make it, and then they just served them lunch. So I think we probably spent about $35 a person on that class. And like, we had just had breakfast not that long before they had the class, so to have lunch immediately after was like, okay. And then we went to Sabor for dinner that night as well. So it's kind of like, well, we kind of were already here. So that was a little bit disappointing, you know, not to blame the people who were at Sabor for whatever reason, but just know that something could happen and you might not actually get to make the guacamole. So that was kind of a miss too. Now, the rooms. Obviously, I love the carpet in the rooms, as I mentioned on day one. The size was great. The layout was great. No issues with that. But for me, the beds were just a little bit too hard. And my husband loved it. He's like, I could stay on here forever. This bed is amazing. For me, I did not sleep that good. And I have, you know, neck problems. And so having kind of a pillow that was like on my neck and then the bed being really hard, like I was just really ready to go home after the 7 days because I was just kind of uncomfortable. But apart from that, the water pressure was great. The view was great. We loved our room. It was super quiet. We were on deck 11. No complaints whatsoever. In an ocean view balcony room, would definitely be on that floor again. And we were between two elevators, so it was perfectly placed. Always recommend midship between two elevators. It worked out perfectly for us. So other than the beds being hard, no complaints about the accommodations. And then two other things that were kind of a miss for us, and some of them are very common with cruise ships and some were just a fluke thing. It was just our personal experience. So obviously when you go on cruises, they are going to try to upsell you on things. And on this particular cruise, I really felt like they were overly pushing you to buy jewelry from the jewelry store. And sometimes they will have, you know, free charms, or on the Allure, they had a charm bracelet where you could buy like almost like a Pandora style charm on a bracelet. And those are really cute. It's like $5 per charm. And then if you get all of them, you got one for free and they give you the bracelet for free. So that was kind of a fun thing. Well, this one, they gave away bracelets, but they were more like stretchy elastic bracelets. And then they did have one that was kind of like I didn't grab it, but it's like a gold bracelet that you actually like clip charms onto. And so that was nice, but you had to go to all of these info sessions for them to even give you the bracelets. You had to sit through a lot of different explanations about jewelry in hopes that you would buy something for them to give you that free product. So I really just felt like this whole cruise was really focused on them hyping up the jewelry store, getting you to come to all these info sessions, you know, enticing you with free things in hopes that you would spend thousands of dollars on jewelry. So not to say that the jewelry is not beautiful, and if you are totally into that, they had some amazing deals, but we did spend a lot of time sitting through jewelry presentations. Now, the very last thing that was kind of a disappointment, didn't really impact me specifically, but it did impact my husband, was that there was a watch that he wanted to buy. As I showed in the video, it was the white watch. I think it was made out of ceramic, and they offered to size it for him, and they broke the end clasp as they were sizing it. And so it wasn't even just like one of the links where, oh, we'll just take that one out and it won't be a big deal. They broke the end piece that they needed to have in order for it to clasp, and that was the piece that they broke. So they had to refund him, and he was really bummed about it because he really loved that watch. We still talk about it to this day, and we've looked for it at other places and it just cannot be found. So that was kind of a sad thing. It felt like maybe they weren't quite as experienced with resizing the watches, and he's like, you know what, I could have taken this home and done it myself. So, and even if he had broken it himself, I think he probably, you know, he could have figured out a way to make it work somehow. But that was just a real bummer that we spent the money, they broke it, they did refund us, and he did end up getting something different, but he was still a little bit bummed about that. But not to say that that's going to happen every time. And we did get some other nice jewelry and things from other stands, you know. So, I mean, we're a sucker for shopping. So we did buy a lot of things, but that was kind of a bummer. So that kind of concludes my pros and cons list for Harmony of the Seas. We had a great time. Like, any day that you were on a cruise is a great experience. It doesn't matter what cruise ship it is. It doesn't matter where you're going. It's, you know what, we are here to have a good experience, and we always have the spirit of adventure. So whatever happens, you're just going to roll with it. So I would definitely sail on the Harmony of the Seas again. I would even do this itinerary again, and we'll touch a little bit on the different places that we went and the things that we did, and maybe some of the pros and cons of the islands. So on this particular sailing, we went to 3 different locations. It was a 7-day itinerary. We left out of Galveston, and we had 2 days at sea. Then we had 3 port days. We had an additional day at sea, and then we were back in Galveston. So I definitely loved having the 2 sea days back to back, because if there were things that you wanted to do on the ship and you just felt like you didn't have enough time to do them, which typically when you're on a 4-day sailing that has 2 port days and you get 1 sea day, like we did when we went on the Allure, it just was not enough time to see the ship, especially because the ship is so big. So you definitely want to have 2 sea days if you are doing a 7-day itinerary. And so it was really nice to be able to be leisurely on one day or spend time at the pool. And if you missed something one day, that you could do it on the other days. So we loved having those 2 sea days as the first 2 of the sailing. So the first port that we came to was Roatan, where we had a private excursion that we booked through Cleve's Tours and Adventures. So Cleve Bawden's company, I had found them on TripAdvisor. Not that many people were talking about it, so I really took a risk on utilizing them, but because they had such a great rating on TripAdvisor, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. I reached out to them. They were very communicative. They gave me options of different things that we could go do, kind of the basic touristy things that a lot of people like to see while they were there in Roatan. And we picked some options, and ultimately we had an amazing time. I would 100% use Cleve's Tours and Adventures again in the future. We had Kyle as our guide. He was amazing, and I would definitely even request him again. We had so much fun with him. But in the future, if we go back there, I would want to do some of those other things that we didn't do on this first time and do those just to further experience the island. But they spent a lot of time telling us about the culture and everything there. And so it just was a really eye-opening experience. But the thing that we appreciated the most about them was how highly they speak about their island and how willing they were to share it with us. Because when we went to Mexico, it was more like, oh, you're the tourist, give me your money, all of that. And I mean, yes, they're happy you're there, but they didn't care for you as much as we felt like we were when we were in Roatan. And so we had an amazing time with that tour company. Now, the things that we actually did, so we did go to the rum cake factory, which I definitely would highly recommend, because who doesn't love some good rum cake, which we did end up getting a 6-pack of the rum cakes. And we still actually have them to this day, which we had a couple of them, but the longer they sit, the more potent they become. So it's been a little while since we've been on this trip, and so they're actually very strong now. But I do definitely recommend going there if you like rum. If you like rum cakes, definitely check it out. They were very good, and they were very kind at that location. Then we went to the chocolate factory. We didn't really get much chocolate there. It was just, there's kind of a complex of stores and stuff that was in that area. And so it's like, let's check it out. And so you could see them making the chocolate there, and you could get chocolate bars. And we did get some souvenirs from there. But I probably wouldn't necessarily go back there again unless you really love their chocolate. But my mother-in-law got some, and she was kind of like iffy about it. But the samples that they gave us were good. So, if you are a really big fan of chocolate, definitely check it out. We did a snorkel tour there, and I don't remember what the company's name was because it was a separate company, but they got the bracelets for us. They took us to the place. They provided us with all the equipment necessary. We did bring our own snorkels, but they did give us, fins, flippers, which were super helpful. And it was just us and another group that went out, and we chose to do kind of the shallow snorkeling as opposed to going out to the Great Barrier Reef, just because, my son was 12 at the time, and I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to be in too deep of water, I guess, and like we hadn't been snorkeling in a while, so we kind of just did like a beginner snorkel, but we had a really great time. The water was amazing, and it was super awesome. Would definitely recommend. And it was in the French Key area of Roatan. The water was absolutely beautiful. Then we did, he took us and got food, which he stopped by just like this little, place on the corner kind of thing that had these like fried chicken empanadas, and they were really, really amazing. And they gave us lemonade in like Ziploc bags. So that was probably like one of my favorite clips of it, was like, why are you so cheap giving us juice in bag? And it cracked me up. But the lemonade was amazing, the food was amazing, and we did end up buying some of the hot sauce that he gave us, which we still to this day haven't opened, and I don't know why, but it was really good. So that was definitely a pro. And then lastly, he took us to the Roatan sign and did pictures, and I, interviewed him a little bit there in the video. The one thing that we didn't do that we were ultimately really excited about in the beginning doing in Roatan was holding the sloths. My husband has a love of sloths that are unmatched, and I don't really get it. I think they're a little bit creepy to me, but some of them are cute. And I do have a video of him holding a baby sloth, and his life was forever changed. And so he thought he was going to get to hold sloths. Well, they just changed the laws literally like a month before we ended up going on this trip. And so he was so disappointed. He's like, no, I don't even want to see them. If I can't hold them, I don't want to see them. So we didn't go to the sloth and monkey house and do all of that, but that could have been part of this tour. And I think I would probably do that if we went back again, just to see it, because you can get very close to the sloths. You just can't physically hold them like you used to be able to. So if you are there and you want to try the sloth and monkey house, I think it's still a great experience. People still say amazing things about them. And there's also a boat tour thing that you can do that I would definitely check out. So hit up Cleve Bodden's Tours and Adventures if you are looking for a private tour in Roatan. It was totally affordable, totally worth it. Would 100% do it again. So then the next day we were in Costa Maya, Mexico, and the port there is really cool. They do have a aviary, which was closed while we were there. I'm not quite sure why it was closed, but they have like these little huts that you climb up, and each different hut has different birds in it apparently. But you could see the flamingos, obviously, as you saw in the video, and that was really cool to see because they're just out there, but there are birds that you can see from time to time, I suppose. And then they do also have a dolphin excursion that you can do right there in the port. It kind of showed you where that was, and you can usually get those through the cruise line as well if you wanted to swim with dolphins there, or go elsewhere off the port property to see dolphins. But it's the head pools, and so there's a really cool area to just hang out in the port if you didn't want to go anywhere. And then they had what the name was the Paplanta Flyers, where they climb up the pole and then they swing around upside down. So that was really cool to see. And they kind of have it timed perfectly, so when you're getting off the ship, they know to do the presentation then. So I was like afraid that we were going to miss it because I knew that they did that there. And so I was really excited that we got to see it in full, like right when we got off the ship. So it's a really decent sized port. pretty easy to find stuff in Costa Maya, and this is supposedly where they're supposed to be building Perfect Day Mexico. And so eventually the Costa Maya port will be just for Royal Caribbean cruises. But as of now, they are accepting other cruise ships now, as that's potentially been on hold. I don't have all the details as to if that's going to be ready when they say, or the things that are happening in Costa Maya in relation to Perfect Day Mexico, but that's ultimately where it's going to be. What we chose to do in Costa Maya was go to Haihu Resort, which was about a 20-minute drive away from the port, but the resort arranged all of the transportation and everything for us. So they just kind of told us where to go. They provided me with the map. It was a little bit of a maze to kind of get out of the port area. And so I kind of feel like we just got out by accident, but you kind of just follow it around, and then it leads you out to kind of a big like cul-de-sac area. And then you have to walk down the street and you kind of see a big Mayan ruins statue thing kind of like down at like the next roundabout area. And so you kind of just head that way, and then there was just somebody standing there with a sign, and the drivers didn't speak English, but the coordinators of the drivers spoke English. So he gave us all the instructions, was super friendly, got us a cab, was like, just get in, they'll take you there and they'll bring you back, you know, when you come back. And they're like, don't even bother talking to them, don't even worry about it, you know, like, okay. So we just got in and drove. Obviously Haihu is in a very remote area, and so you have to go down a lot of dirt roads, and we were kind of weaving back and forth because there were a ton of potholes and stuff. So if you didn't have somebody that was telling you all of this and what to expect, I could see how it might be a little bit sketchy. And I do think you probably could just go to Haihu and spend the day there without having like the VIP package that we did where everything was coordinated for you. So I could understand why you would feel like, okay, what is happening? But I knew exactly what to expect, and I felt safe the whole time. My husband did reference that maybe there were some people that were hanging out in front of the resort, kind of expecting tourists or whatnot. I might be oblivious to that, but just always, you know, keep your head on a swivel. You're always in it, you know, you're in a different country. You don't really know what to expect. So, but I personally did not feel unsafe in the experience of getting there. And then Joshua, who was the manager, met us there, showed us our cabana, explained everything to us, and it, you know, was a beautiful, comfortable space to hang out. Now, the con of Costa Maya was that we didn't realize that we were really in the heart of seaweed season. And I knew that it was going to be a hit or miss, and everybody kind of kept saying, oh, maybe this, maybe it is, you know, I don't know. And unfortunately, we did not luck out in the seaweed department. And so I think Haihu is really directed towards peace and quiet, not a lot of activities, not a lot of crowds, and then having the private beach, because they did have like snorkel equipment and kayaks and things you could use, but it was so rough, and then you were just getting pelted with the seaweed. So, and it was not really fun jumping over the giant pile of seaweed that they had there, which I did, you know, for the sake of experience, but it was kind of gross. So Joshua said, and he showed me a picture, and I kind of showed it in the video, that if you go from September through February, that's when the beach is like the most beautiful. So it's kind of the off season as when you'll have the best experience. So I'd really like to go back and experience it during that time and just kind of see the differences in the time of year. And I also would have liked to get a beach massage, but I actually got so sunburnt in Roatan that I just like couldn't, like, don't even touch my back. Like, it's so fried. So, and because of that, I did wear reef safe sunscreen, and the sunscreen I wore, obviously you probably would need to reapply it more frequently, which I did not. So my back got very sunburnt. So definitely wear like a rash guard if you're going to go snorkeling, especially when they want you to wear reef safe sunscreen. And that probably would have saved me a whole lot had I been a little bit smarter. So but overall, Haihu loves the people that come there. You know, the food was good. The atmosphere was beautiful. I wish the water had been a little bit better. And then ultimately, while we were there, we found out that our dog had passed away. So it really kind of emotionally put a damper on really enjoying the environment, just because I had that all on the brain. So that was a little bit unfortunate for us, but not a reflection at all on Haihu. They're doing an amazing thing there. And, you know, if you want to go out that far, if you want to spend the money to go have that experience, and you like the seclusion, and you know, you either want to deal with the seaweed or not, maybe you don't even like going in the water and you just want the environment, it was definitely worthwhile. So definitely give them a chance. After Haihu, obviously they had a driver come pick us up at the scheduled time that we were happy with. They took us back to the port. We had plenty of time to shop and look around and get some souvenirs and whatnot, and then head back onto the ship. So the third port day was in Cozumel, Mexico. That place is a huge maze too. There are different ports in Cozumel depending on what ship you take. I know that like Disney ports at a different one, but at the particular one we were at, Carnival and Royal Caribbean, we're at that one. So I have heard that there's potentially even 4 different ports. I can't quote you on exactly what the names of those are, but definitely based off of whatever cruise that you're going on, be mindful of maybe what port that it is, so you kind of know what's in relation to that and what's available. But at the particular one we were at had Margaritaville, and it was just a whole maze of shops. And you know, obviously we went and did some shopping, and you can barter and things there, you know, make some deals, which we did. But we did actually have a cruise line excursion for this particular port, whereas the other 2 were not. They were private things that I had prearranged. And so the meetup location for where we were going, because we went to Dolphin Aris and swam with dolphins, and they had kind of a separate area in the port. So we were able to kind of wander around and do some shopping before the meetup time for our excursion, which was kind of nice, because sometimes you meet on the ship and then kind of get herded like cattle off the ship. So it was kind of nice to have a little bit of freedom before and after. And then, you know, they put us on buses, took us to Dolphin Aris, where it was just very crowded. Like, you know, the dolphins were cute. We had a good experience. I don't know if the experience we had was worth the price that we necessarily paid. I kind of expected we would get a little bit more interaction with the dolphins than we did. But, you know, it was fun. We had a good time. They did provide lunch, and there was that snorkeling area, but there was so many people there. It just felt overly crowded. You know, it was just kind of a lot. And then I couldn't film while I was there. So when we did the actual dolphin experience, I could not film any of that, which obviously is why it wasn't in the video. But, you know, I did before and after. And so they really encourage you to buy the photos that they take of you, which were quite expensive. And we probably spent upwards of $200 for maybe like 3 pictures. I think it was maybe 190. It was like $40 a picture, I think. Or you could pay like maybe 120 per person for all the photos that they took of you. So we pretty much got like 1 photo per person kind of thing. And then got a couple of trinkets and whatnot. And then we had walked down to the pharmacy, like a grocery store down the street, because we were looking for a pharmacy. And then came back and they made sure that we got to the port. So it was not my favorite excursion there ever was. If I was gonna do a different one, I potentially might go to maybe Chonkanab, which, if I'm saying that correctly, Chonkanab, it's kind of an adventure park, kind of like more like a SeaWorld type of experience, but I've heard the snorkeling is really good there, and I've heard the dolphin encounters are really good there. So maybe keep that in mind when you're in Cozumel and you're looking for an excursion. So, but I'm glad we tried it. I'd never swam with dolphins in that capacity before, and now, you know, we kind of know. So, but we did get some cool stuff at the Cozumel port, and, you know, just had an overall fun day, because, you know what, you're in Mexico, you can't go wrong. So that is basically kind of a wrap up of our overall experience and the things that I liked and didn't like about what we particularly did on this cruise. Your experience is going to be completely different, and it's going to be whatever it is that you make it. So, but if you need recommendations or help with planning the things that you think that you might want to do on your cruise, I'm happy to help you do that as a travel agent. Feel free to drop me an email. It's in the description box below, and I'm happy to help you however I can in booking your next cruise. So now let's look at the merch that we got, because there's a lot. All right, so now for the fun part. Merch. We bought so much stuff on this trip. It's almost embarrassing. And I did not even realize how much stuff there actually was until I was accumulating all of it here to show you. So let's dive right in. So when we were in Roatan, actually, you know what? I didn't even put these in correct order. So I'll just show them to you as I have them here on the table, because it'll take me too long to sort these. So this is something I actually haven't worn yet, but I plan to, because it's super cute. This is kind of a one-size-fits-all, like really stretchy tank top that I got in Costa Maya. I just really liked the color. It's like one of my favorite colors. So if you like, you can kind of tie it up on the sides or whatnot. And this is just like a long tank top. So got this at a shop in Costa Maya. This is one of my favorite shirts. I got this in Cozumel. It probably is backwards. It says, "I need vitamin C," and it's super comfortable. This is one of the ones that I cut a deal on. There was 2 shirts that I ended up getting. I got this one, and I got this one that says Beach Paradise Cozumel. And I got those from the same shop. This was actually from the shop that was across the way from the tequila shop. So if you see the Cozumel video and you see the tequila shop, there's a store right behind it. That's where I got these shirts from. So, but these are two of my favorites. And then Costa Maya, I got this one. It just says Costa Maya in the corner. And then I thought this was cute. This is kind of what sold me on it. And it says, change your attitude, change your latitude, Costa Maya. And so I bought that one. And I just really liked the rainbow colors on it. So, and then on board, I ended up getting this Royal Caribbean shirt, which I just really like the colors of that one. That was one of their Promenade t-shirt sales. This one I got in Roatan. This is one of the Del Sol shirts. So when you put like sunlight hits it or black light or whatnot, this changes colors. So I really liked that one. And then each of us got this one. It's just a gray shirt, but on the back, it has all the different Royal Caribbean ship names on it. So I got one of these for each of us. So there's 3 of those floating around our house. And then Noah got this Roatan hat. He really liked this one. He picked that one out. And then I probably got him more shirts than anybody else. So I'm kind of like, kid, you got a lot of clothes. So I got quite a few shirts in Cozumel because they were kind of affordable. He kind of likes tie-dye. So I got him this Cozumel shirt that's tie-dye. And then on the ship, I got him this one. It's just a green one, similar to the other one. And then it does actually say Harmony of the Seas on the back. I didn't personally get one that said Harmony of the Seas on it. I didn't really care for any of the ones that were there, but there were a couple decent ones. This one was actually, this one says Roatan on it, but this one was actually part of the t-shirt sale on the last day in the Promenade. So when I said, oh, I bought 6 shirts, this was one of the ones, but it actually does have the Royal Caribbean logo on it. So it's a Roatan shirt, but it is a Royal Caribbean Roatan shirt. So I got that one for Noah. This one he got in Cozumel as well, right? No, this one's Costa Maya. So this one says Mexico on it, and it has a little iguana there, and it says Costa Maya at the bottom. But that one was cute. This one he got at Del Sol as well. This is one that changes colors in the light as well. It's kind of a little bit of a green tinge to it. And then this changes colors either in black light or sunlight. And that was Roatan. And then this is another one that, this one was Cozumel. Has some little lizards on it. And then lastly, he got this one. This was another one that was in the ship sale. It says Island State of Mind. And it's like a dark green color. And then it's kind of got all the little islands. But this one was a Royal Caribbean branded one as well. I actually saw somebody wearing the same shirt at Sam's Club the other day. And then lastly, for this section of things, this is the Del Sol bag. This actually was free when you spent $25. And this bag changes colors in the sunlight too, which I thought was super cute. So that was it for the clothes that I ended up buying. Actually, I did also get a sweatshirt. I got a blue sweatshirt, but it ran really big and I still wear it, but it's kind of oversized and it was on clearance. So you probably wouldn't be able to get it again, but I forgot to grab that one. And then while we were in Cozumel, as you saw in the videos, the guys got Mexican wrestling masks. Noah got Spider-Man. And if you have not watched the video where they were Mexican wrestling, I highly recommend that you go back and watch that because it was completely unhinged and you'll understand why. So they got that. Noah got this little pipe flute. Kind of reminds me of Peter Pan, but he is all about little gadgets and musical things. So he got this flute. And then lastly, we just got like a bunch of magnets because I collect magnets. So we got this Cozumel one. I got this one from Costa Maya. It's got kind of like little cruise ships and stuff on the inside. Or it's got a boat, like probably more like a yacht. And some people snorkeling and some turtles and surfboards. That says Costa Maya. And then we got these two from the chocolate factory in Roatan. I'd like the ones that had a little turtle on it. And then at the gift shop at Dolphinaris, I got this Cozumel one. And then I got 2 on the ship. This one was Harmony of the Seas. I apologize if it's backwards. Harmony of the Seas. And then this one is just a ship. So we got those for our magnet collection. Oh, there was something that I got on the ship that I wanted to share. And let me go grab that real quick. Now, another thing that I don't have in here, but I did briefly show when we were in Cozumel is Chris did get like a decanter that kind of looks like a saloon, and it has doors that open, and it had little shot glasses on there that said Cozumel on it. That was really cool. But he's kind of a collector, and so that's on display in the other room. But something that I wanted to show you that you can pretty much do on any Royal Caribbean ship if you have a sailing booked. These are items that you can only get if you pre-purchase them, and then they're delivered to your room when you show up for your sailing. And so when we went on the Allure of the Seas, I got a water package, and I got this cooler. So it's a decent sized cooler. The zipper's right here, and it's got a really nice strap. And you can get this with either like 6 cans of Diet Coke or Coca-Cola or water. I got the one that had water, and so it's kind of designed for you to be able to take it on excursions. And then you have just like a really cool Royal Caribbean cooler to take home with you. So I got this one when we were on the Allure, but you can pre-purchase it through the app after you have your sailing booked, and then when you show up to your room, it's just there for you. So it's like an immediate gift that you have as soon as you show up. And so on the Harmony of the Seas, I wanted to do something similar, and they had a bag that I just fell in love with. And so it said that it was a cooler, but I don't know if it's really a cooler or not, because it doesn't have the same interior cooler material as the other one does. But it is kind of like a little duffel bag. Looks like this. It's got like a separate shoe compartment down here, and then it has a shoulder strap, and it has a zippered trolley strap, which I'm a sucker for a trolley strap because I want it to go on my rolling suitcase. So you can zip it to close, and you can put that right on there. And then inside, the compartment in between these two sections opens up. So if you don't want this compartment to be separate, you can open it up internally, and you have all this space in the bag. We use this so much on this cruise to carry things because we came home with so much stuff, as you can see. But I just thought this bag was so cute, and it is still available for you to get for your existing sailings in 2026. But with this bag, you also get a matching beach towel. And I was just like, I love a good beach towel. So it has the Royal Caribbean logo on it right there, and it matches the print of that bag. So look in it's like gears and gifts or something within the Royal Caribbean app once you have a sailing booked, and you can have these and it'll show up in your room when you show up to your stateroom. So I absolutely love that. I'm kind of addicted to like, ooh, free gifts as soon as I get on board, but I love that bag. I use it all the time. So that kind of wraps up our Harmony of the Seas experience. Thank you again for watching this cruise series. Go back and watch those videos if you didn't see them. I'm happy to answer any questions again about this particular sailing, or if you want to book any other sailing on any other cruise line, I would be happy to help you with that. That just wraps it up. So next time I will show you all my cruise ship essentials. If you are brand new to cruising and you don't really know what to take, I'll show you all the things that I bring every time I go on a cruise that I found helpful, and they might be helpful for you too. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.